Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast, where real students are doing real deals in the world of multifamily real estate. I'm Vince Gethings, the owner of the Wheelwell Profits Academy. Listen in as we dive into the journeys of driven individuals who are turning their dreams into reality. These people are just like you, taking action and making things happen. If you enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, and if you're ready to take action, check us out at wheelwellprofits.com to learn more about our incredible community. Let's get started.
This is Movers and Shakers, where we interview the upcoming generation of Make It Happen multifamily investors to share their story.
Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast. My name is Gino Barbara, co-founder of Jake and Gino, multifamily investor, educator, father, mentor, and I'm joined by my co-host, my brosif, who's looking extra good today, Josh Rusin, the community director of Jake and Gino. Josh, how are you today, Josh?
Gino, doing well. Super excited for today's show and just super excited about everything we got going. Actually, we have our annual event, Multifamily Mastery Live, coming up here really soon, October 19th and 20th. We're bringing the pain with some big name guests. Going to be a tremendous amount of value and networking. Gino, what are you excited about today?
I am excited about today's guest because I met today's guest around 2 years ago. Driving through traffic took me 2.5 hours to get to where I was going. And I'm glad I got there because you're never too old to shed those limiting beliefs. And I think today's guest is the epitome of that. And I think he's excelled, and it's amazing how much he's accomplished in the last year. So I am really excited to dive into that. I'm excited that it's September in Florida and it's 85 degrees. The weather's beautiful down here, and I'm just excited to be on this podcast, Josh.
Awesome. Speaking of today's guest, we have Mark Langdon. So Mark's from Whippany, New Jersey, and he has been investing in residential real estate since 1991. He continues to work full-time as a project manager / chemical engineer, performing project execution of engineering, procurement, and construction projects in the pharmaceutical, chemical, and food industries, and is licensed as a professional engineer. He has a fix and flip business as well, Langdon Properties LLC, which he focused on buying distressed properties, renovating the properties, and then reselling them. He has completed 12 fix and flips and quickly found out that the fix and flips are the same as his W-2 job. In October of 2018, he transitioned to multifamily. Previous to that, he had 10 units. Since diving into multifamily last year, he's closed on a 21 unit in Greensboro, North Carolina, an 18 unit in Alabama, a 32 unit in Hickory, North Carolina, a 48 unit in Louisville, Kentucky, a 107 unit in Louisville, Kentucky, and recently a 62 unit in Morgantown, West Virginia. And also he's under contract on 210 units in Birmingham, Alabama, which is scheduled to close next month. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, guys. I'm grateful and honored to be here today. Thank you.
You know, Mark, you off the line before we were connecting, you're kind of diving into how you met Gino and attending our event and sort of the change that instilled within you. Will you share the story with the listeners for us?
Sure, absolutely. So I first met, as Gino mentioned in the earlier part, that about 2 years ago at a local meetup group. I came on, I wanted to meet Gino. I said, I wanted to introduce myself and where I was at, and I was thinking about multifamily. And right away, Gino pegged me as I'm a guy. So you probably heard on other podcasts, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and so on and so forth. So, and he hit it right on the nose, because my previous earlier years, I did everything. I fixed the places up. I bought them. I managed them. I did everything. And of course, he went through and said, Mark, you got to go ahead. You got to get away from this. You can't do it all. You got to delegate, and so on and so forth. And then went to your event last year, met so many nice people, and I met a lot of people from your teams. And I'm in a weekly meetup group that's part of your coaching team, where there's lots of folks that are in it. And it just kept evolving with everyone I knew. Well, yeah, I'm with Jake and Gino. I'm being mentored. I'm being coached. And they were really like stand-up characters and open and transparent, and people that I'd want to work with. So, and then from there, I ended up doing one particular deal where I got involved with Nick Chapman, and he helped through, and then with Dylan and all sorts of folks. So I kind of know you guys, even though I don't, but at the same time, I'm just real happy and, again, honored and privileged to be part of it. And you guys have made me where I am today, thanks to all your podcast coaching type items, etc.
Mark, you know why I was able to assess your situation? Because it's always easier to assess other people's businesses and lives than your own, right? You can see so clearly what everyone else's mistakes are. So it's just easy to point them out. I mean, so, that self-reflection, I saw myself in you because I had the restaurant for 25 years. I'm a wash the dishes. I'm a plant the basil. I'm a clean the shrimp. And it's, if you like it, it's one thing, but then after a while it becomes tedious and it doesn't become enjoyable, and you can't monetize, and you're doing things that really aren't bringing value to what you're doing. So it was very easy to assess your situation because I was looking in the mirror, right? You attract what you are. So to me, it was an honor to meet you because I'm like, yeah, I got a guy who's really working hard. Let's dive into those limiting beliefs. Why were you doing everything yourself, and what made you go out of the New Jersey market?
Well, it was basically the confidence and the ability, based on listening to you guys and other folks and networking with other folks, to get over those fears. So my limiting beliefs was I had to drive by all my New Jersey properties. I had to do all that stuff myself. So I quickly learned that you have to get over your fears. And how do you do that? You either get coached, you get mentored, you take training, and you just, network with others to say, you know what, that's not so bad. Why don't you go look at the Southeast? Why don't you go look in the Midwest, right? And just before, I had to touch everything, be part of everything. And it was really, if you get the training, you get your education, and you get the confidence, when you have the confidence, you can do anything. And you look back and go, boy, I wish I did that a lot earlier.
I'm glad you said that. How old are you, Mark?
I'm in my upper 50s.
So upper 50s. So everybody out there, listen to how old Mark is. I'm creeping up right next to Mark. It's not that he's old, but when you've been doing something for 20 to 25 to 30 years, it becomes part of your being. It becomes part of your physiology. And how do you get out of that? You get out of that by surrounding yourself with like-minded people where you want to go. And it's important to go to these live events. It's important to go to these meetups. I'm going to give a shout out to Jason Yarusi. He puts a great meetup in New Jersey, and that's where I met Mark. And I met a lot of Jake and Gino students there, and a lot of people who want to do multifamily. And what do they all have in common? They can't invest in the New Jersey market. So Mark, why can't you invest in New Jersey? Why do you think it's not where you should be, and why you should be in the Southeast?
Well, it's got very high property taxes. It's very tenant friendly, not landlord friendly. The numbers just work so much better in the Southeast or in the Midwest. And it's just easier to do business, right? You don't have the same issues as much with building departments and town officials. It's just, and that's why I guess a lot of corporate goes down those areas, because it's just easier to get things done. And obviously the numbers are much better, right? I mean, property taxes on some of my New Jersey properties are 2, 3, 4 times as high as other places. It's just insane. And why just give all that money to property taxes and instead get better results and better returns and just go out of state? So I'm done with New Jersey.
I feel the pain. Like Josh, I'm telling you, I'm talking to myself in the mirror. I'm done with New York. So I resonate with that. Mark, what is your feelings towards real estate now that you're investing this type of fashion as opposed to having to do everything years ago? What has happened?
Oh, it's so much better. It's so much easier. I was big on the rentals earlier stages, doing it all myself. I'd work all day. I'd have dinner with my family, and then I'd go, see ya. I got to go pick up the hammer and fix this, or go talk to this tenant and all this other stuff. And once I got over my fears to go out of state and do multifamily, right now I get on a weekly conference call with my property manager, and that's it, right? You speak for a half hour, how's the property going, things in that. It's just so much easier, so much better. And all them doing I don't want to say the work for you, but you're just using your expertise and what you've learned to then manage them versus me doing it all myself. So it's tremendous different. You've got to go switch from your single families or small multis to the larger multi. You'll thank yourself 10 times over.
Mark, do you think when I owned property in New York, my problem was I really couldn't hire property management in New York. The numbers for me didn't make sense because of the insurance, because of the property taxes, because of the labor and all that. And I tried to get property management, even for a mixed use building that was 20,000 square feet. Was that the issue for you? I mean, if you could hire the property management, you could possibly scale in New Jersey. Was that one of the things that was holding you back from staying in New Jersey?
It was. I tried to find, I have single families and some small 1 to 2s, 1 to 4s, and nobody really wants to deal with that stuff here in New Jersey. And any property manager, right? They prefer larger places and things like that, like most people know. So it was hard to get someone. And if you did get somebody, they really wouldn't look at the property. as intently as you do. Of course, no one does, right? But still, it just was hard to find, and it was pricey, and it just didn't make sense. It's so much better going with a professional property management firm that handles 50, 100 units, things of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
And it will make your life much easier. And they're much more professional. It's not a realtor who on the side, oh yeah, I'll look at your 2-family for you, something like that, who really doesn't and doesn't have the expertise or the systems in place.
Before we dive into the first deal, because I want to talk about your mindset, because mindset has a lot to do with this, because obviously you have the net worth, you have the experience. How would you tell the listeners, give them a little bit of a framework of how to actually get out of that mindset and leave in New York, New Jersey, or California and venture into other areas? What would you tell them, steps that they need to take to do that?
I'd say first step, which are all the basic steps on anything on getting a multifamily, is first of all, you have to have the confidence. So how does the confidence? That comes up with proper education, right? So if it's signing up to a coaching program or being mentored, something along those lines, to say, yeah, I can do this, and I can do this out of state. So if you're not educated yet or so, it's well worth the money. You need to go ahead and get yourself comfortable, because once you do that and you listen to everybody else doing it, you go and say, oh, that's not so bad. If he can do it, I can do it, right? I'm just a regular guy. So when I say, hey, if Bill could do it, or Sam could do it, or Terry can do it, that gives you the confidence to then go out. So make sure you're educated. Make sure you get somebody to help you. Don't reinvent the wheel. Find somebody. Partner. It's okay not to know everything, and don't let that stop you. But at the same time, go back and find folks that can help you get yourself educated. I think with that, then you gain your confidence. And then with the confidence, then you can say, I can do it. And then you go ahead from there and you move to that. So if you haven't done that yet, or if you don't feel like you have the confidence to go out, get that by proper education and mentorship and things along those lines.
Great. I love that. So I'm going to break it down for everybody. Confidence, education, and I'll take it one step further. Everybody write this down. Education times action equals results. What is that, Josh? Education times what?
Action
equals results. And Mark left that out because he's just an action taker person, because he's kicking ass. And there's a reason. He got educated. He had the confidence. When you have the confidence and you take the proper actions, that equals the results. And I think the other piece that Mark didn't mention, but he's done it, and he mentioned it earlier, is the mastermind group. Being held accountable by others and being surrounded by a great team gives you the confidence to go over and to do it, and not having to do everything, and having a special skill set where you can bring to a partnership. If you can partner up with 2 or 3 other people that have different skill sets than you, and you can marry that and get that together, you can have an amazing partnership. Would you like to add anything else to that, Mark? I know I took a lot of your words out and I just...
No, but it's true, right? I am an action guy, right? So if you do all that and you get educated, you get mentorship, but then you just sit around and analyze or do something like that, then you just wasted all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I really get sad at folks who go ahead and do all that, and then they finally, for whatever reason, they don't take that next step, because you can do it. You really can. So just know that you can do it, and there's just regular folks out there doing the same thing. I'm not a rocket engineer. Anyone can do this, but you just got to try, and just don't stop until you get there.
So what was your other motivation to be doing this? Because you're in your mid-50s, you're very successful, you have a great job. You do have some multifamilies. What was your desire to scale up and to get bigger?
Well, I wanted to make sure, I kind of came up with a vision statement, and my 10 rental units in New Jersey, in my mind, still wasn't enough for what I was looking for retirement, right? So I knew if I could scale on the multifamilies, which was the only way to properly scale, I'm not going to get 100 single family units or something like that. It's way too much work, as everyone knows. I thought multifamily was the only way to go. And so for me, I now feel real confident that, like, if my boss comes to me and says, Mark, that's it for you, I don't really care, because I know at this point, and I'm going to continue, but I could go right now if I need to. So again, it's confidence. I can rest assured my 3 kids are going to be fine. My wife and I are going to be fine. So it's really, that's where I really thought that was the best way to go. Otherwise, it's way too much work and way too long if you continue to do the single families and 1 to 2s.
I love that. So that's confidence. It's in being, now he's empowered. Mark is empowered that he can continue to do this. And when you work from an empowering place and not a place of fear, but a place of confidence, you don't have to do a deal that doesn't make sense. So now Mark can be picky and choosy on looking at his deals and not having to make it happen because he's been proactive. So I think everyone out there needs to know that we're all winging it in the beginning. And when we first started buying properties, it was the same as us. We didn't know what we were doing. We were going to figure it out. So Mark, education times action equals results. He committed and then he figured it out. I bought the first deal. That rolls us into that first deal. Let's talk about that first deal. What was your thoughts? What was your fears? What did you like about the deal? And let's dive into that first deal.
So the first deal was a JV with a partner, a good friend of mine. He's still a great friend today. And basically, he found the opportunity and he said, Mark, hey, I really like you to go into this. We met each other at your event. And again, here we go, a nice networking item from one of your events from last year. And we talked about it. And I said, oh, I don't know what kind of property. And it was a C-. And he's a good number cruncher guy. I'm a practical guy, I'd say, even though I'm an engineer. And then we just talked about the deal and we said, you know what? Let's take the plunge. It's his first deal. It's my first deal. As you said earlier, Gino, I don't know everything and I'm not sure, but I'm going to figure it out. And we just went ahead with the purchase of it. It's 21 units. It's in Greensboro. We like the area. We did all the research and it's a challenging property, I can tell you, but it's working out well and we're really excited. It's been almost a year now. So what I did, it was a network JV. We both took the plunge and said, let's do it and get over our fears. He's in Virginia. I'm in New Jersey, both out of state. And we just said, let's do it. And I'm not sure how we're going to do it, but we just did it. And
what are the value adds on this property? What was attractive about this property?
The rents were really low. It's about $150 increase that we've been proven to get. So they need some renovations as they do it. There's a couple of tenants that had to be evicted. It had some deferred maintenance. And we had a total of, I think, 4 price reductions from the very beginning. I'm not a retrader, but at the same time, they weren't necessarily what you would call rent ready. So we went through it. And because of things weren't what they said they were, then we were able to negotiate 4 times. And every single time, I just said, write the addendum that we're offering a lower price. And he accepted it every time. So they knew themselves and they were ready to get out. And so it's basically a value add deal. Get rid of tenants that aren't performing. And as we go through, we renovate the units. And it has proven from like a $450, $440 rent originally. And now we're getting $595. No problem.
So everyone, pen and paper again. This is really important. Mark is not a retrader. He's not asking for money to rip out kitchen cabinets. He's asking for money because the rents and the net operating income was less than what they talked about, and the expenses were lower than what they talked about. So you can retrade. And the great thing about it is don't be afraid to ask, because the worst thing they can say is no, and the deal doesn't go through. And how many times, Mark? 4 times?
I think it was at least 3, maybe 4. And they agreed every single time because they knew, and it was time to unload. So,
and that's how you negotiate, because you're not being unfair. My tip to everybody would be, what can we do to get this across the finish line? And that's what I would say every time I'd ask for a retrade, or not a retrade, but a price reduction, because I want to work with the other side to get this done, but it's not working with my numbers. And honestly, you can do what they call an accusation audit by you saying to them, you've got to tell me everything bad here. So if the sellers had done it from the very beginning, we wouldn't have to do 3 reductions. If you told me from the beginning, it would have been a lot easier. But they lose face because every time the numbers are wrong or something else. And they know they've got a qualified buyer, someone who's motivated to buy. And I'm assuming Mark knew they were motivated to sell. So you put those 2 together and you have people who are objective and you're just laying out the facts. That's what happens, correct, Mark?
Yes, absolutely. They knew, and it wasn't rent ready. You have to be rent. I'm not a retrader. Believe me, all the other properties I haven't retraded, right? It's just, this is what it's supposed to be. You told us it was this, it wasn't this after inspection. So unfortunately, I have to ask for a reduction, and they agreed every time.
I love that. Don't be afraid. This one quick question before we go to the short answers. What have you learned through your last year, 18 months of getting into multifamily that you didn't know before? I'll give you an example. A lot of students come in and say, I didn't know that I could raise money for somebody else's deal to get into multifamily, or I didn't know that I could partner with somebody, or I didn't know that I could, do boots on the ground, or I didn't know I could get an acquisition fee and roll that into my deal to get into multifamily. Well, give me a couple of tips for students, because you don't know what you don't know. That's the problem when you start a new venture. What did you really learn? A couple of really golden nuggets that you didn't know before you started your journey to multifamily outside your market.
I would say the power in partnering, right? All these different deals that I've been doing, they're all with different partners, right? So without that partnership, back to the IMA, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, right? You can't. You just can't. It's dumb. It's not the right way to do. I've met so many nice people and so many great folks that I didn't realize, oh, I could probably do it on my own. I don't need anybody, right? I can wing this. No, if I didn't have all that other expertise that everyone brings to the table, expertise from your guys' team, expertise from other partners, it's just unbelievable, because I would have just fallen on my face in areas I would have never thought of. But somebody else says, oh, Mark, you got to make sure you do that. I'm like, oh, that's good. You're right. I forgot. That's a good thing. And you just keep building it, and you just pulling off ideas and everything else among each other. So I can't overemphasize, build that network, get that team, get those partners, and just keep reaching out and going to events and network. I just never realized how powerful that really was in partnering, versus my old days of just doing single families and 1 to 2 units. So that'd probably be, I would say, the biggest out of everything, just the power of partnering.
I love that. Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors.
Gino, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. I know that you've been hard at work helping Jake and Gino students do just that using our framework. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
Guys, we've been hard at work growing our community of like-minded investors, and the results of our members has been nothing short of incredible. We're looking to grow this amazing group. What we're looking for is those who want to follow our proprietary framework that we've created: buy right, manage right, and finance right. Leverage our connections, education, and mentorship as ways to take your business to the next level.
So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become a part of our amazing community, apply to work with us at jakeandgino.com/apply.
Okay, Mark, I got some short answer questions for you here. What's your favorite book and why?
Well, it's always the purple book, like everybody else, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because that changed my whole mindset. But at the same time, right, I've been doing a lot of JV, so I'm reading right now Matt Faircloth, who I met at another meetup, same thing as we talked about earlier. It was my birthday, same as his birthday. He gave me a free book, Raising Private Capital. And I need to move into the syndication phase, so it's a great book. It's a Bigger Pockets related book. So I'm reading that in addition to Hal Elrod's The Miracle Equation. I think if you're a Hal Elrod guy, you'd like that book also. So those are the two that I'm in the middle of, but it's always the purple book that changed everything.
Nice. What about your best habit for success?
Well, it's similar to mostly everything else. I get up early. I'm up at 5:30 every day and try and get things done. It's coming over and understanding, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but don't worry about it. You'll figure it out. You just got to get over those fears. So I've learned that. So that's something I make sure every day, because when I go back, I go, oh, that was no big deal, right? So I think that's a great item to instill on yourself every day. Block out time, do your networking, call brokers, all the usual items. But I would say, and of course the physical fitness, I try and work really hard to keep myself thin and it just helps your mindset. So get that right mindset. I can't overemphasize that to do things.
I like that. I like to compare entrepreneurship to jumping out of a plane and building a parachute on the way down, right? No one has it all figured out, but you make it happen.
You make it happen. MIH. All
right. So some really good golden nuggets on this one I was able to take away. So 1, scale up, just do it. Take the leap from single family to multifamily, build yourself a business, not another job. 2, get educated. This education is going to be key. It's going to instill the ability and confidence for you to take action. When you see a clear path to achieve your goals, you're going to have much more certainty and you're going to execute at a much higher level. And then also be around like-minded individuals, the power of partnerships. I mean, look at what Mark was able to do from 1991 to October of 2018, 10 rentals from October of last year to now. I mean, he's absolutely crushing it. And then, Gino, what other takeaways do you have from this one for the listeners?
I think a couple. I think everyone needs to get clarity on their own personal situation. Multifamily may not be for you, right? You just may not get over that hump. Go seek a life coach, because we all have limiting beliefs. And everyone says, I can't invest out of my market. I was guilty of that until I tried it, and it's not as painful. I found a partner like Mark did. So my journey with Mark's is very similar. You need to have clarity. Once you have clarity, you can start taking steps. Is it education? Do you want to do single families? There's nothing wrong with single families, but just be clear on that, clear on why you're doing something. And Mark was very clear on why he wanted that stability, and he wanted that empowering. If his boss tells him to fly a kite, he goes, okay, where's the kite? I'll go fly it. I don't need you anymore. And that's the best thing about life. I mean, we don't have to quit our jobs to go into multifamily. That can be an additional to what we're doing with our jobs. If we like our jobs, we can keep our jobs, but being clear on that. And I think, like Josh said, we don't have to reinvent. We're all winging it out there. We're all figuring it out, commit, and then figure it out.
I like that. Mark, anything we missed?
Now you guys captured it. I'm just, again, honored and grateful to be here and part of with you guys today, and just loving life and just going to keep going. I just got to figure out, when do I stop? And so I'm going to have to figure that one out.
Well, when you stop when, that's a good question. I'm trying to think of that myself. I see we're very similar people. So
Right.
I you know how I stopped? I stopped and I created Jake and Gino. So my retirement was going to come down to Florida, hang out on the beach. That lasted about 52 minutes. Then
Right.
My wife is like, I thought we were going to move down here and we're just going to hang out and just enjoy. I'm like, yes, that gets so boring and so lame, and it's like you have to create something else. So I can see Mark creating a meetup, his own meetup. I can see Mark creating a little podcast, a little YouTube channel, and doing that with his and starting his own little multifaceted, and then really enjoying it, really helping others. Because then ultimately, Mark, what really becomes awesome in life is when you can give back and when you can help others, and that is a really great feeling, because you're giving of yourself, right? So that's the sixth human need, growth, which is exactly what you've been doing. And I'm sure that that's more fulfilling than anything else, growing as a person. And then the sixth one is the contribution and contributing and helping others. And you're already doing that by partnering with others. So they're helping you, but you're helping them at the same time. That's why the power of partnerships is so much fun. That's why I love Jake and Gino. I'm not only partnering with Jake, I'm with Josh. We have a great culture, but it's also the students that we bring along. We had a bus tour this weekend in Nashville that had 50 students. They're like my family. I love them all. I want them all to succeed. And it's a great feeling. And when you can do that and you can marry that with multifamily and create other businesses, and all of a sudden you're making money that you didn't think you would by helping others, best thing in the world.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that next stage, giving back, mentoring, helping coach, things like that. So definitely that's what I'm starting to think about, because I don't want to say it's time yet, but it's getting soon. And I want to leave legacy for others and help someone out. Someone helped me, so I want to give back and be able
That's
to.
awesome. Mark, how can the listeners get a hold of you?
Well, they can easily just call me. I pick up the phone. I'm a phone guy, and it's at 973-464-3839, or they can reach me on my email, which is mark@langdonproperties.net.
Awesome.
Awesome. Mark, I want to thank you for being an amazing guest on the show and sharing your movers and shakers story. Guys, if you want to be the next movers and shakers guest, email me at josh@jakeandgino.com. Now, if you like the show, please leave us a review. And until next time, let's make it a movers and shakers week. See ya, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.